What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Knowledge Kicking Knowledge. And today, I got a special guest with me, the wonderful Mama Ru. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
So, we've known each other for a good amount of years now, and I don't know how, but she hasn't been on the show yet. I guess that was my bad. So,
definitely.
Mama Ru, I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about herself.
Okay, Mama Ru here. I'm an astrologer and tarot card reader. I actually was introduced to astrology partly because of Mr. Gemini Brown, as he's taught and introduced many of you to astrology. And for a long time, we just discussed astrology, the aspects, our own charts, and how those play together. And now it's grown and it's become my passion, and my passion is to help others understand themselves, the things that they're going through the divination tools of astrology and tarot.
Definitely. So tell the people your big three.
Oh, okay. So Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising, Aries Moon.
All right.
Yeah.
So, we share a couple things in common chart-wise. I'm a sun in the 10th, she's a moon in the 10th, but we both have 12th house energy. So,
Big 12th house energy.
Yeah, week to week I get a lot of, people hitting me up, asking me about the 12th house, and, who've enjoyed my commentary on the 12th house so far. And, I figured, why not get another 12th house person to speak on their experience? Because one thing I always say is that it differs for everybody. The 12th house definitely differs for everybody. So if you don't know, the 12th house is the last house in the zodiac. It's the original house of Pisces. It represents endings. It represents the collective unconscious, spirituality, secret sorrows, the house of self-undoing, okay? And yeah, planets here don't operate in a traditional manner because of that hidden, mysterious element of the 12th house. So, for myself, I actually have a Venus, a Mars, and a Jupiter in my 12th house. And Mama Ru?
And then I have, depending on which house system you use, so if you use the Placidus, I have Mercury and Venus. And if you use whole house, I just have Venus. But I can definitely feel the Mercury in the 12th house. The Mercury in the 12th house is heavy. So
yeah, I agree with that, because the first time you let me read your writing, you did a food blog. I was like, damn, this girl can write. And Mercury in the 12th house would show someone who, secretly is highly intellectual and, really has an ability to write. So I definitely...
But you know what's so funny? Because it's in the 12th house, I never recognize myself as a good writer. I'm always so critical of my writing, and it makes me shy.
And that's the thing about the 12th house. It's like, we don't see the energy that goes to the 12th house people. The person who is the holder of that energy can't naturally see that energy within themselves. All right? So, to give an example, someone with Venus in the 12th house may be looked at by others as being not just, it's not a physical beauty necessarily, but it's this inner tranquility, this inner peace that radiates from you that others can pick up on, that says I just feel good around this person. But the Venus in the 12th house person normally feels like I'm not loved, or I'm not.
They haven't received enough.
They haven't received enough love, So that's one way of it operating that way. And then going with Mercury in the 12th, the ability's there, but you yourself may not feel like I'm an intellectual or what I say matters. So the natural expression of that energy, to some extent, is hidden from the person, even if others can see it. So I want to get your take on what is what has been your experience with the 12th house, or basically how do you see, like, where has it really come to life within your life and things like that, or how would you just describe it?
So my right now, I feel like, first of all, my definition of the 12th house and my understanding is always growing and fluctuating and changing.
Right.
So I will say from right now where I am in regards to trying to sum up the 12th house, when I think about it for myself or when I try to discuss it with clients, is the 12th house is unlike any experience you have experienced. So in regards to me with my Venus in 12th house, the love that I have experienced is not going to be like the love that I need to express. The love that I see around me, whether in media or whether I see demonstrated by other friends or family, and how they demonstrate and resonate love, is not going to be how I resonate and exchange and work within the word of love.
So you're saying that your expression of love differs from that of the rest of society?
Not the rest of society, but I think that what was shown to me, what I grew up in, what I watched on television, like even in our era, you know what I mean? I grew up in like the sitcom era, like different world, Cosby, also whatever the other shows with Steve Urkel, Family Matters. Like this is like, it was a very much a traditional 2.5 dog family, but I don't feel like how I'm understanding my Venus 12th house is expressing itself. I don't think my love looks as traditional as that, but I also don't think it looks like the love that I received. And so I think when you're in the 12th house, you're always seeking and you're always exploring and redefining and understanding. It is a very transient, blurs the line type of house. So there's just this need to go in and out and in and out. And so when I try to explain it, so the lesson and the understanding of love then only comes from I have to have literal lessons in life. Like when you have anything in the 12th house, you will experience a lot of lessons in that category.
Right.
You will experience a lot of growth through love. You'll experience a lot of experiences where you're like, oh, I thought this was love, and then I'm like, oh no, that is not the type of love that I want. I want a different type of love. And you'll go through this understanding and this growth, and it's frustrating at times because you would like to just have a simple love, but it will never be simple. Nothing in the 12th house is simple. It's this complex relationship, and what I think ultimately anchors the relationship is your relationship with spirit.
Spirit is the key thing. It's really funny. So we're at the point, I don't know if you noticed, everyone's doing this, what I look like in 2009 versus what I look like now. And for me, it's like, when I look back, I realized that the 12th house energy was always present. I was a lot less aware of it. And, talking into astrology and things like that, I know that it's there now. And now that I know that it's there, like, for instance, dealing with Venus, one way in which my Venus has manifested and the lessons behind it is saying that I want this. I want this in love. This is what love should be. But that isn't what love actually is, or what you need from love. So I think that's definitely been like a key thing. So the 12th house comes with awareness, and I feel like for those of you who have 12th house energies, there comes a point, it also represents your shadow self, a part of yourself that you don't necessarily own, so using Venus again, it's been said that these people are secretly romantics, but because of experiences, may be reluctant to openly, acknowledge that or display it. So therefore, the energy gets repressed, and then it comes and it lashes out for expression in shadowy kind of ways. So what I see.
So like a stalker.
Like.
Do you think that 12th? Because I feel like people like to say that about 12th house. Do you you think that 12th house energy would indicate somebody with, do you think it has to indicate obsession? Not necessarily.
No,
or,
not necessarily. It's like this.
Okay.
If you, whatever it is that you actually desire, is hiding something from yourself that you actually want,
Okay.
or that is actually in you.
Okay.
So if there is a part of you that is actually obsessive about love, the person on an unconscious level is obsessive about love, but they repress that because they think like, okay, if I bring this to the core or to the surface, this, that, and the third is going to happen. So it goes to the 12th house and is repressed. Then as a result, 12th house is mirrors. Neptune is mirrors. What is reflected back at them is that obsession that is within themselves.
Really?
Now the 8th house has to do with stalking and stuff too, but the 12th house is the manifestation of what you don't own. So,
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So let's go with that theory,
Mhm.
and then we'll come back around to it. So if I'm okay, so let's say I have Venus in 12. I've definitely had stalkers, and I know I have stalkers, and it's like there's a part of me that's like, okay, like you're a stalker to a certain level, it's okay. It's like, all right, I just expect it, but then it gets too much sometimes with certain like stalkers. But what I'm saying is, so how would I then release that energy of attracting stalkers? Is it by recognizing the stalker in me? But then what do I do with that? Okay, let's say I surrender
Great question.
to the stalker in me.
Great.
Then what happens?
Great
How does that
question,
look?
right? Now, you acknowledge what has been repressed. What the 12th house planets want is acknowledgement, is expression. The metaphor for it, for the 12th house, is an unacknowledged child,
Okay.
a neglected child, right? So to some extent, whatever is there, if it's Mercury, you're not working to the best of your intellectual capabilities. You're not speaking everything that you know, right? So,
Recognizing the stalker
Right.
in me.
right? And you channel that into, you take that energy and you own it, and you either acknowledge, like when you get in a relationship, acknowledge like, okay, this is me and I'm gonna express it here because it's safe to express it here. That's the thing with the 12th
So
house.
I can find a partner who is okay with being stalked.
And express it.
Okay.
Express
Right.
it. You know?
Okay.
Because the thing about it, it's about allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
And this is what 12th house people don't allow themselves to do because they don't directly identify with the energy. But when you do become conscious of it, it needs to find a need for expression. I use myself as an example.
Just another
Okay.
healthy way to express it instead of finding somebody in a relationship. I do think that
Another
a relationship is very healthy and a very good way to learn. Learning through love is much better than learning through trauma. But also, I can maybe obsessively write poems about that person instead of expressing the stalker energy.
Right.
And letting it rattle around in my head and just get really intense and get the feelings built up, I could just write like multiple poems that I never would see, or
yeah.
make songs.
It
This whole house
needs-
is also creative.
Right. It needs an outlet for expression. Now that brings me to the next point.
Okay.
Now, within every house in astrology, the opposite house will always provide, wholeness or balance for that in general. So the 12th house is also associated with homelessness,
Yeah. Mental institutions,
escapism, right?
hospitals.
Right.
Prisons.
So what we do, another way to tap into that 12th house energy and to balance it effectively is to find practical ways of expressing that energy. So, to give an example, you just use a creative way. That's a practical way. Like, it's creative, but it's also practical. Like, I'm going to give it a form.
Yeah, give it space to exist.
Right.
Space to exist.
So let's say, you know, you're dealing with like some mental health things. What do you have to do? Take care of your mental health. How do you take care of it? Through, you know, possibly medicating, natural, you know, supplements, things of that nature. So the 12th house is the institution, it's the asylum or whatever.
The isolation.
The isolation. And the 6th house is the place where it can go, where it can ground. Where, so to give another example, it's like the 6th house would be the reason why this is called a mental asylum, or this is the place for it. Like, you're here because you're to help you take care of this mental illness, not just like being casted away, but actually having a place to go and be treated.
Okay, so let's take yours first. Your 12th house is in
Leo.
Your 6th house is in Aquarius.
Right.
So what does that mean for you? How does that translate for you?
So like I said, I have a stellium there, so you know, I never tried to teach, but I always was told I would be a good teacher. And I kind of did everything else except try to teach, and it just came back to me.
Yeah.
So I recognize that.
Now you're like teacher of the year.
I recognize that, okay, to some extent, this is my duty. This is my duty. It is the thing that keeps me grounded.
Okay.
You know, so the Aquarius representing the group, the collective, right? What you stand behind. Leo representing the gifts and talents that you have. So the talents that I have, all of that gets funneled into an everyday reality of helping children, identifying as a teacher. And then the next 12th house aspect of it is me teaching in this way. So it's a dual, way.
Yeah.
Because I always say, if I didn't, you know, if I didn't have that, if I was just an artist, right?
Right.
I'd be completely in the 12th house.
Yeah.
I'd have,
with all the Leo. Oh, right. It would be, yeah. It would be very,
so it's like,
so much fire.
Right. So it's like giving myself a role to play within the collective.
Right. And so even also within recognizing it, okay, so the Aquarius 6th house can translate into other ways, but because you have so much in that stellium with the creative, it has to be creative. So
I feel like it, and that's what I'm saying, I feel like it's took, because of the stellium, it was like the writing was on the wall.
Right.
It was more clear for me than others.
Yeah, and then Jupiter, I always associate Jupiter with kids, which you have in your 12th house.
And Leo's kids. So it's
yeah,
like
and Leo's kids, yeah. So, but there could have been other ways. So even though you sort of pass the surrender to the life path that's defined by the stability within the 6th house, there are other ways you could have expressed it, and you can still go and grow and maneuver within that. So even if you have to decide that you're going to be a teacher, like what kind of teacher now do you want to be? And that's where you come into life choices, you come into transits,
Right.
you come into, you know, all of these other factors that determine what type of teacher you are at this moment.
Right. So, and then, you know, if we flip it around, you know, we look at yours, you have Gemini in the 12th. And then you have
So
Sagittarius in the 6th.
Which is insane.
Right.
Sagittarius in the 6th.
So how
insane.
what have you gotten from that? How does this energy get balanced?
I'm still figuring it out. I'm literally still figuring. Well, the one thing that I am seeing and I'm understanding and sort of responding to as I'm figuring it out is that spirituality has to happen to practice my life. Essential. I also have Neptune there in retrograde, and I also have Uranus there at 0 degrees. So it's a bad boy. It's not even, and this will bring us up to our topic, not only spirituality, but I always associate Uranus with magic. Spontaneity, spark of Uranus is also the spark of the magician.
Right? And this is, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into a part that I often feel is overlooked, and I'm guilty of it too. All right. Pisces, Neptune, 12th house, she said like it's magic, the magician, but it's also ritual. You know, it's also ritual. And for myself, you know, you guys, I do like my daily horoscope and things like that. You know, weekly episodes here. All of that is things that I built for myself to acknowledge, along with the teaching, to balance and acknowledge this part of myself. But, you know, I'll come across, you know, certain other people say you have a Scorpio in the 12th house, you know, with some energy there. You have the ruler of your 8th house in your 12th house. These are more so people who have to practice ritual frequently and in various forms. So I know you have a theory of things that you think the 12th house energy.
I think that the 12th house, you know, it's also the house of magic. It's not the only place where magic exists. You don't have to have 12th house energy to do any type of magic. And by magic, I mean however if we just take the basic level of magic, it's really fine-tuning your energy so that you can tune in your energy into something else. So let's even take these strings right here. There's a difference between me making them with the intention of healing and providing clarity for me and Gemini to communicate, as opposed to me just not even paying any attention. And so that's where the base level is for 12th house energy is intention. So almost, especially depending on what the planets you do there, and then what houses those planets rule, you have to have intention within the things that you do in regards to that. That's why it's like harder sometimes, because the more planets you have there, like the more intention you have to have in everything that you do and pursue in life. But there's also a level of, because you're not clear, because you don't see all that you are and all that you're becoming, but other people have that view of you and can see you like more clearly than you can see yourself, there's a level of needing to do magic to protect. There's a level of needing magic to also maintain, really maintain. And it's like, I haven't gotten to the place where, and I'll say a little bit about how I got to this place, because, you know, Venus in the 12th house, I'm like, you know, everything starts like fast and furious and everything's going really well and everything is like, whoa, yeah, okay. Like, you know, it's Gemini, so it's exciting. It's like, yes, okay, we're getting there, we're doing this, it's okay, it's good. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, like total detour. Like everything goes left, can't communicate, our timing is off, this goes wrong, and it's like I feel like almost robbed sometimes. Like, dang, like I can't get a honeymoon phase, like I can't have like this little sweet, like seductive, like going out of town together, like this easy peasy like love life. And it's sort of like, okay, so I've surrendered into the idea that my love life will never be easy. So I'm ready for the new normal for me, right? So now it's like, well, now how do I maintain that? And I think part of the maintenance of maintaining things that are in the 12th house, especially when you finally gain the self-confidence, the self-awareness, the life lessons to like get where you need to be in place of love. Like I've really grown, even from when we met each other, I've grown so much in the way that I embrace and express love. So now that I'm there, how do I maintain it? How do I sustain it? And that's where I think the magic comes in. So not only will I do baths to bring my love back into me, to curate my love, to make sure that my love is ever flowing. And not only is it ever flowing to everybody else, like the 12th house is such a giver, but it's ever flowing back into me. It's the reciprocity that I need. And sometimes if I don't receive it as natural with 12th house, then I need to do more loving things for myself. And that might involve magic, where, you know, just love being spelled. Just Venus in the 12th house has a hard time keeping money. So wearing a money attraction that you make or you get from somebody else. And when it comes to having a lover, it's not like as if I want to bind a lover, because free will is never something I desire. Again, I'm a woman who practices astrology, and tarot helps of bringing forth a better future. So binding is never something that I would want to do. But it's like,
You
I
have
need
to
to set a love candle.
Yeah.
I need to wear love oil around this person. I might need to create a special oil just for them. And before I talk to them on the phone, I gotta put this oil on, because sometimes our communication gets hairy with Mercury in the 12th house, but I wanna make sure we're on the same page. So now we're talking about the same thing. Now we're vibrating the same. I might give them the oil. So there's just this level of using the earthly magic and the way that we can easily move and flow through spirit and presence and create the magic that we need to sustain. It's a new reality.
Yeah, I hear you, and you know, you said it to me, and I was like, damn, I kind of already knew this, you know.
I blew his mind. You lying?
Yeah, I knew it. I was like, damn, she's right. So, whatever energy this is, and she used Venus as an example. So just for you guys who, you know, maybe wonder, with the Venus in the 12th, particularly if you have aspects towards Pluto or Neptune, you have to love yourself first. The love that you want, when you romance and do everything that for yourself that you want to do for another, it increases your ability to attract that. And 12th house people basically have to think in the manner that I have guides walking with me. You know, like I said, it's kind of a hard concept to pin down, but just having this belief will let you understand that you're not alone. You are protected. You are loved. And the adverse thing about the house is that it makes you feel the opposite of what is actually true. All right? So that's for Venus. I give an example for like if you have Mars here, and she's talking about like protection spells. Mars, Pluto, Saturn, those are malefics, right? So you have to be aware, and then you also have to keep the sign in mind as well. But those are definitely planets that indicates needing to do protection spells, needing to acknowledge feelings that you get around other people. There's a naiveness attached to the 12th house where you'll be around someone and you're like, damn, my body's reacting, or my energy's reacting a certain way.
My stomach hurts.
Yeah, but you
my
may
eyes
not,
twitching.
you may not want to acknowledge that. Okay? A lot about growing is, and being spiritually in tune, is paying attention to those subtle signs. It's never going to pop into your head like, this person doesn't like you or whatever. The signs will always be there, but they'll be subtle. So pay attention to the nature of the planet that you have there. So like I said, Pluto, Saturn, Mars definitely indicates needing to do protection spells. And then
but then that's also if you have Aries 12th house.
Yeah, so it goes
Aries
with the keeping the sign in mind as well of the ruler, appealing to that planet. So I don't know if you said offerings, but to some extent, you know, making these connections with these planets. You know, I'm a poet, so whenever I'm writing, I'm appealing to Venus. Whenever I'm doing this, I'm appealing to Jupiter. Whenever I'm working out, whenever I'm directing my will in a certain manner, I'm appealing to Mars. So it's about understanding the nature of that planet or ruler of the 12th house and giving it room for expression. If you don't take anything away from that, take that away. The planets in the 12th house need conscious expression in your life. They are resting in the unconscious. All right?
And
so
the intention, just the intention.
We're going to come back and do a part 2 to this, but definitely feel free to comment, let us know what you think, and you know, and if you have any other things, topics in mind, feel free to drop that as well, and we'll address them. Until next time, peace.